everybody, and welcome to episode 49 of Daisy Knits. I'm Daisy, hanging out in the floor of the neighbor room today, and I have to say I was a podcaster fail last week. Friday was the podcast anniversary. Last Friday was my 1 year of podcasting, and I didn't even say anything on the podcast about it last week, so 1 year. That is kind of cool. And, I know my numbers don't line up with that 1 year, but that's because I had a couple weeks where we didn't record. But on the flip side, I have like little mini episodes or half ones where I've done reviews of different retreats. So anyways, 1 year, kind of proud of that. And let's kick this show off, shall we? I will tell you, it's been a rough, rocky week in places. So there'll be a rant at the end about that. A little rant. I'll try to keep it clean and non-pointed. But I do have things I'm going to ask from y'all this week. So let's start this off with a finished object though, shall we? I have been showing y'all husband socks. Do you notice? Let's look. Let's look. No needles. They're done. Okay, so mostly done. I am not going to weave in these tails yet because husband is concerned that they don't have enough ribbing to hold up the length of the sock, if that makes any sense at all. They are hugely long, exactly what he wanted. I did not use every bit of the yarn up because that's a lot of yardage. Heidi blessed me with a lot of yardage here. The yarn is from Undead Yarn Company, and this was a modified rainbow. It was a double slack blank, and do you see here? 463 yards. 463. My husband has a size 12 foot. His leg is currently equal to his foot on this sock. And quite honestly, I could have gone a lot longer. It's just, I want it to be done. There's so many pretties I want to play with. So after I got all the way into the red, he was like, okay, if you want to be done, and we're getting really tall. We're probably halfway up his calf right now on these socks. So he's going to wear them a time or two and make sure that they stay up. And if they do, I'm going to call it good. We'll weave in the end. If not, then I'm going to add the yarn back on and do more ribbing. I'm really hoping they stay up. But that is my FO of the week. I'm really proud of these. So, yes. The other knitting that I did, and honestly I only worked on it yesterday, was my Purl List by Romy Hill. So this yarn is from Cyborg Craft Room, and it's the Northern Lights and the Socolate colorway. And I made some progress. I had not worked on it all week, just too much life happening. And I don't want to drop stitches because I did that already. So we have a pretty good chunk going. I have all my diamonds. I finished the mesh section, and now I'm doing just this little end cap piece. I think that I have maybe less than 10 rows, and I'll be ready to bind off. And I could have probably gone a bit further, but that's what I have. So we'll see. But I am really loving this. I love how this came up. Now that I understand the pattern and my brain's clicking, it works. It works when your brain's on board with you. Hi, Chihuahua. So that's there. Depending on how this afternoon goes, I might finish that tonight. We will see. I have no idea for sure what I'm going to cast on next. I know I'll put another pair of probably vanilla socks on the needles. And I have a mitten that I really think I want to get done soon. So I might put that on the needles, but we'll see. So, this week I did not actually do any knitting for Master Knitter. I wrote a book review. FYI, I'm really out of practice of doing book reviews. Just not something I was great at. So I had to sit down and really work on that. And this week I did. So for level 2, you have to do 4 book reviews. And this was my first one. So I'm hoping that the rest of them get easier. because I felt kind of rough and rocky on this one. So my first book review was Cast On Bind Off, 211 Ways to Begin in Your Knitting. I have to say I love this book. I've had this book now for several years. And when I first got it, one of the things that I did was I did a bunch of baby hats. I did a bunch of newborn hats using the different cast on techniques out of here. I probably did 20 to 25 hats. Just playing with all the different cast ons so I could see how they sat, how they felt, things like that. So I obviously am a huge fan of this book. If you can find it, it's an amazing book. I'm not going to say go buy it now, because if you don't care to learn new cast-ons, it's not something you need necessarily on your shelf. But if you're interested in finding this really does have a ton of new things on. One of the other features I love is, can you see it's spiral bound? It lays flat. I love that. And it came like that. So I can lay it flat and it does not go anywhere. It does not have a glossary of any kind. So I'll start with that. No glossary. So it doesn't tell you how to knit. It doesn't tell you how to purl. It has no extra knitting information. It is just cast-ons, just bind-offs. There is an index in the back, though, that is very thorough. So if you're looking for a particular one, you can find it fairly quickly. At the beginning also is a chart. There are charts, which I find very handy, and that's what I used with. Without giving too much secret sauce away. So you have cast-ons here, and it says things like if you're looking for a firm edge cast-on, and it lists 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's like 6 different firm edge cast-ons there. If you're doing socks, these are great cast-ons. If you are binding off, because there's another little chart here, if you're binding off and you want ribbing bind off, you want a firm edge, you want an elastic edge, you want a durable, they say which bind offs they recommend. And then there's a little bitty chart that gives you your cast on bind off pairings. So if you do this cast on, this bind off looks very similar. And I know that's a little detail, but it's a little detail that makes a big pretty finish when you start looking at it. It's kind of a nice thing to do. Each technique, each bind off, has it in the knitted yarn, and then it walks you through step by step with the little hands, the hand-drawn hands. So I have to say this is one that I have turned to repeatedly. I very much enjoy the layout of it. It's easy and clear for me to find things for, and honestly, it lays flat. It's a good feel. The book cover says $27.99. I'm pretty sure you can get it cheaper on Amazon, and you probably could find it used. I believe this is a copyright date is 2012. So it's not necessarily the newest book out, but it's a newer book. So it's a quick and dirty book review. If you can get your hands on it reasonably and you're looking for new things, great resource. Oh, the other thing that I have to say I really appreciate is, let's see. So it gives you what she calls it, like the chain cast on. It's also called chain edge cast on, chained cast on, bind off cast on, the Japanese cast on, cast off cast on. That's in the decorative cast on category. So we all as knitters know that sometimes we call things by different names, different titles. She lists out all those. And I appreciate that, because then I know what other people might call it, because your grandma taught you yours, and you know, my auntie, whoever, taught me this one. They're the same thing. It's just I know it by this and you know it by that. I appreciate that aspect of it. And quite honestly, there are a ton of ways to cast on. So I would do recommend that book. All right, so let's see. Group news, we really don't have too much. Come and chat. And I'm going to rant here a little bit in the shop section. So I'm fair warning you now. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be offensive. I don't mean to be rude. But this week, part of why it was rough was I had a customer who was not happy. And she left me my first 1-star rating. kind of sad. Out of 5 years, I had my first 1-star rating. And as we chatted back and forth over the last couple of weeks, she just wasn't happy. And there wasn't anything I was going to be able to do that made her happy. It just wasn't happening. And so, not that I blame her by any means. I wish her no ill will. I'm not angry or anything like that. But I do ask that if you've had interactions with people on Etsy and you haven't left a star rating, please go do so. That 1 star really bothered me. Her being unhappy really bothered me, and I was very upset about that for 2 days. And honestly, a few people came and they commented. I had people that commented another on Instagram. Actually, I was tagged in 2 different posts with our yarn. And I had a friend that messaged me and said, "Hey, look what I'm knitting. It's so cute." And those things really made me feel a lot better. That 1 star really kind of made me doubt myself, and it made me question things. And so to hear the reassurance of other people saying, "Hey, it's okay. I'm not crazy. I'm not losing it." It was good. So what I'm going to ask is, if you are trying to think how to phrase this, if you've had interactions out there with Etsy people and you love the product, you like the product, you were happy, go give them a rating. Let's take a point to remind people of all the good. It's so easy to remember the bad. It's so easy to complain about the bad. Let's take the time and really remind people that they've done a good job, that you're happy with what they've had, you're happy with your product, your experience, whatever. Take that moment and go do it. And remember, if you are unhappy, how you phrase things makes a big difference. When you come at somebody accusing, yelling, and hateful, it's not going to be resolved very well. So, that's my little rant for the day. There is somebody behind that computer. Please remember that there is somebody back there. And it's a real person. It's not just some made-up person. And like myself, it's somebody who has a heart. And we're here because we want to be here. To me, this is my community. These are my people. And I want to make you happy. But at the same time, I am just a person. I am not perfect. And we need to remember both sides of that coin, please. So, that is my little rant. I'm sorry if that comes off wrong. But it's been a rough week, and I'll be honest on that. I don't share a lot of negative. I try to keep that out of this. I try to keep this really focused only on my knitting and my progress. But life has happened this week, and it was pretty hard. So, I hope that you all have a great week. We will see what goes on as the week goes on. And I pray that you make something lovely with your knitting. See ya.